Welcome everybody. This is Ethan Edwards with Allen Interactions, and I'm doing our very first live stream video blog. Here I am, your roving instructional designer, and I'm hopefully going to do a series of these where we go out, look around for inspiration in our community to find ways that we can get insights into design. Now I'm in a live museum, and so you may see people coming in between or behind, and I may have to stop talking because I don't want to disturb people. But I do want to share this experience with you. And I'm here at the Missouri History Museum in lovely Forest Park in St. Louis, Missouri. And I am at an exhibit, I guess I need to flip this way, that is called The Little Black Dress from Morning to Night. Now at first you might be thinking, what in the world does this have to do with designing e-learning? Well, I'm focusing on the idea of design. You know, I think one of the biggest problems with e-learning design as a field is that we have forgotten about what it is to design something. You know, we can get overwhelmed with the content, with the media, with the technology, and forget the basic requirement that to design something is to take the user into consideration, the use, the context, and to craft a situation that actually is pleasant for the user. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take us through this exhibit. I may have to stop a little bit because there happens to be a pretty big crowd here right now. Examine some of these trends in this exhibit about this little black dress history from the 19th century today, and then hopefully make some comparisons to some of the challenges that we face in designing e-learning. Now first off, you probably know that black as a piece of attire became really a fundamental part of women's existence after Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert, died, and she went into extreme mourning. And that's when these very elaborate rules for dress came into play. In fact, it's pretty amazing if you look at this dress closely, and I don't think this video will pick it up. It was ornamented with what is called jet. You know, the fundamental need of attire is ornamentation, and yet that was having to be balanced with somber respect, thinking about the dead. And so actually a whole body of jewelry and ornamentation came into play because jet, I didn't know this until this exhibit, is actually a form of petrified wood that is found on the beaches. And it's unique in that it is singularly non-reflective. It's very intensely black, and so it was able to provide ornamentation without breaking those expectations. So that was the world in which sort of the black dress became a staple in a woman's wardrobe. Later on in the century, it became no longer linked to mourning and became sort of a vehicle for classy, important events. You can see these dresses now have sequins. They've cast off jet because the world has changed. The need for different dresses has changed. I had to pass by, well, I'll come back to it. And then another thing that changed was that women started going much more outside of the home, went in the work world. And what was interesting at that time is the world was a very dirty place. Women would go out into urban areas. They were sooty and dirty, and found that black clothing was ideal for hiding those stains. So the black dress, while still the same basic thing, was redesigned with different fabrics, much more somberly, much more plain, to become the uniform of the working woman. Now, the exhibit jumps forward quite a bit here, and this was sort of the revolutionary thing, which these dresses are by Coco Chanel, who is sort of known as the person who created the iconic concept. And what was unique about this is, in the 20s, she really thought about what could this dress do for a woman, which is make it comfortable, make it functional, make it attractive, in a way that was really thinking about the use of this dress. So these are a couple of Chanel dresses. And oddly, another reason why dresses started being shorter, I've skipped over that in an earlier display, was because of the war. In World War I, materials were scarce, there was less material to use to create dresses. And so designs had to take that into consideration. Now, as you can see, this is a really extensive exhibit. It's really pretty impressive, and I'm not even really into fashion, but it's fascinating. And just one other set I want to highlight here is, well, you can see that the idea of cocktail dresses and so forth were coming into play. Here are two dresses that are classic little black dresses, but they're actually designed for maternity wear. So again, that doesn't happen by chance. It takes a designer, which is more than sewing, it's more than taking fabric. It's thinking, how does a mother, an expecting mother, need to dress for certain occasions, and how might they, this design, accommodate that? So I'm going to go to the end of the exhibit here and have a seat, if I can. Well, actually, the seat's taken, but as we look at these, I just want to make a couple comparisons to design for e-learning. Now, you may think I'm a little crazy making this comparison, but you know what? The most distressing thing I know about this field that I've been involved in for about 30 years is how depressing it is that it has changed very little. You know, like the little black dress, there are iconic lesson types that have been around forever. And I think the one I'm mainly concerned about and continues to be prevalent and is particularly useless is sort of the page turner that is populated by standard multiple choice questions. It's sort of like our little black dress. And the questions and the interactivity that we've been struggling with, it doesn't change, is simply because we don't redesign. I think we continue to execute, but you know, as needs change, as trends change, as technology changes, we change the superficial elements, but don't change the basic structure. You know, when the world of women changed, they got rid of corsets. That was no longer a requirement. And when the length of the dresses got in the way of working, they had to be shortened. And yet, when we know that our e-learning designs don't work, we keep doing them anyway. We think somehow by brute force, we can get somebody to learn. But you'd never think that you're going to make somebody today wear that dress that was a morning dress. That dress was fine for that time, but where the world has changed. And I think we really need to come to grips with the fact that the world in technology and e-learning has changed. We don't have time for an hour-long module. And I mean, I think that's good. I think we superficially grab onto trends like mobile learning, gamification. And I think if we do that superficially, you come up with lessons that nobody wants either. And that's because, again, they're not designed. They're just constructed. But we need to think, well, how could I fundamentally change the way we can use technology in small bits It may mean that those multiple choice questions will have to be redesigned in a very dramatically different way. But I'm leaving this exhibit sort of inspired by the idea that the world is at our command. That the variety and the impact and honestly the beauty of what a designer can do is also in our control as designers of technology-based learning. I'll leave you with these two particularly lovely dresses from the 1930s. I'm a huge fan of like 1930s movies, and I can just picture Barbara Stanwyck showing up on screen in one of these lovely creations. And so I hope that you can, I wish you could come to this exhibit, it really is wonderful, but I hope that you can maybe take a little bit of what I've said, my thoughts, and think about how it might apply to your work as a designer. I'd love to hear your comments, and let me know if you think this is a good idea. I'd love to keep looking for spots where I might do a little of a unusual perspective on e-learning as I travel around and find different places here at home. So thanks for joining me. I'll hope to talk to you later. Bye.